Hi, this is Ellen Shute. Welcome to the What Drives You podcast. Happy 2023. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you all had enjoyable and satisfying holiday seasons. I know I certainly did. It was wonderful. But I needed a pause. The pause was planned a year ago by me and my husband, Paul. We looked forward to it. I made sure that it was just right and that it would offer relaxing time and family time in a peaceful environment. I had been working really hard for many months in the many roles of my life before the holiday season. I worked hard seeing my clients. It is work that I love and that I couldn't imagine not doing, but it is hard work. It's hard emotional work. It's satisfying, and I'm grateful to be able to do it, but it's hard. I worked hard recording my podcasts. It's not like it's a normal thing for me to get up in the morning and just start talking as if people wanted to hear what I had to say. So I worked hard at that. I worked hard promoting my book, which I've said before, used to be harder, but it's getting a little bit easier for me as I see how much people are enjoying from it and getting from it. I worked hard at speaking engagements and other things that were about what I call my legacy, what I want to leave to the world. My husband and I worked hard at being Michigan football fans. And I have to say that for the first 13 games of the season, it was a real pleasure and a joy, and we got a lot out of it. And then the 13th game came, 14th game, I believe, and it wasn't so good. But we worked hard at it. We made tailgates. We traveled to the games. We traveled to away games. We were emotionally invested every week in the outcome. And it's an exhausting season. I know that there are times during that season that I think to myself, and I even say out loud, like, this is fun. But yes, it is fun. It's just a lot of work. Paul and I work hard at bringing our family together. As you know, there were many holidays during the fall season that we celebrated, each with their own traditions and lists of food and gathering and things like that. And we work hard every week because we have our entire family for dinner weekly on Sunday nights. And I have to tell you that it is the best time of my life is Sunday night dinners. So I was ready for a pause. He was ready for a pause. And we planned a wonderful, wonderful pause for ourselves. So let me tell you about it. We rented a house in a warm place to relax and escape the cold for a while. We wanted a place for our kids and grandkids to be able to come and have their own pause and to enjoy being with them and to experience life with them. It was really special to have my two little boys who are 2.5 and almost 5, come and wake us up in the morning, hear our bedroom door open, and all of a sudden there's little bodies in our bed with us. It was really special to be at the beach with them and build sandcastles with them and play games with them and do arts and crafts with them. It was wonderful. It really, really was wonderful. It was also wonderful to be with my older grandchildren and play cards with my grandson, who I continually disappointed when I was his partner, but it was all in good fun. And to share my makeup desk with my two older granddaughters, those things are special. It's incredible to be together again with my family in longer settings, overnight, in the mornings, when everybody's cranky and exhausted. It's wonderful. And I'm so grateful to be able to do it, to be with them. We still have another family of kids coming, and I'm really, really looking forward to that as well. But for now, the kids and the grandkids are gone. It was invigorating. It was astonishing in just so many ways to watch my grandkids grow up and to watch my children parent. It really just brings such joy to my heart. And it was exhausting. As an empty nester, you get used to the kind of quietness. You know that the only noise that's going to happen is what you make or what your partner makes. And there's lots of time in there that the only noise is either the television or music or quietness. And we really get used to living without the intensity of everyday family interactions. Siblings mad at siblings and crying and needing something and wanting something and general unhappiness in the world. Usually when I see my grandchildren outside of a time like this, they try hard sort of not to yell at each other, although that happens. But it was really intense, and it was exhausting and extraordinary. As a grandparent, it brought back the familiar. Much of it brought a smile to my face, and some of it reminded me of why it's good to be out of those stages. So as I record this now, it's the first weekend without them. It's really, really, really quiet here. Really quiet. The house is sort of clean. It's like you put away your things and then the house is clean. It's quite extraordinary. So the really quiet gives me an opportunity to reflect on my pause. Actually, did I pause? Not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe the question is, do I pause? So when we think about if we pause or how we pause, we really have to know ourselves. We have to understand what makes us pause. We have to understand what is a pause. And so I began thinking about myself, and this pause that I just took was exhausting. It was wonderful, but it was exhausting. So as I've come to know myself over the years, what I know is that I am pretty predictable, as are most people. So in my work, we use the phrase, people do what they do, which means that we all have developed our ways of interacting, living in the world, responding to things, acting on things. And for most people, those patterns of behavior, of communication, are pretty consistent. The problem comes for us when we either don't realize what's consistent or we pretend not to know what's consistent, and then we get disappointed, we get irritated, and that's what makes life difficult. So, in thinking about myself, I like to think about how I respond regularly to things. So, I'd like to tell you about last night. So, last night, Paul and I had no commitments. As I said before, it's really quiet here. I looked forward to that night when we would have no commitments because it could have been a night of rest or a night of replenishment. So, in preparing for that night, I said to him, "Do you want to watch a movie?" And he said to me, "Well, there's two good football games on tonight, and I like watching football a lot." So I said, "Okay, sounds good." The problem is that I wasn't being realistic in my expectations of that night because Paul and I have two very, very different responses to having empty space, to not having committed time. Okay? When we have empty space, like we did last night, Paul's way of managing that is that his response to it is to settle in, grab a pop, you may call it soda, turn on a rerun of a movie or a TV show. These, by the way, go through stages. Currently, it is The Big Bang Theory and Pitch Perfect trilogy. But when I say currently, that's been sort of ongoing for a while now. And he reads the news on his computer while he's watching TV, or he plays a game on his computer while he's watching TV. So when I have empty space, my response is really dramatically different because it's just who I am versus who he is. When we're at home and we have empty space, we generally spend our time together in a room that has a television and two computers next to each other. So we're next to each other, the TV is on, he's generally doing something on his computer, I'm generally doing something on my computer. So when I have empty space, what do? I look at my social media accounts because I like to see what's going on there. Plus, I'm posting on there about my book and my podcast and things like that. I try to catch up on drinking my water for the day because sometimes I'm not so good at drinking it. I do businessy things for my work, like billing things or writing notes or things like that. And then when I have finished doing things I need to do, then I do things like straighten up, clean out my desk drawer, work on a presentation or a podcast or something. So you can see that we have very, very different ways of handling empty space. Now, how I got disappointed last night was because I believed him when he said there's two football games on now. So after we turned the first football game on, and I get busy with my stuff, and he gets busy with his stuff on his computer, after a while, I realized that we're really watching much more of the Big Bang Theory than of the football game. So I enjoy Big Bang Theory. I just sometimes don't enjoy the same episode for the fifth time. Okay. So I said to him, "Why are we watching Big Bang Theory?" And he said, "Oh, the games were boring. I just couldn't watch them. They weren't good." So at the end of this evening, we watched Big Bang Theory. We watched some football, not a lot. and we watched Pitch Perfect. So Paul had a replenishing evening that night because that's how he replenishes. I did not have a replenishing evening. I found myself getting what I call antsy, maybe a little resentful. I'm thinking to myself, why are we watching Big Bang Theory? I don't understand. This was going to be our first night where we could really do something that we enjoyed and would be rejuvenating. And so it didn't work out for me. I didn't say anything because over my lifetime, I've gotten really much better at not saying something every single time something's upsetting to me. So I didn't say anything. So the next day comes and it's a Sunday. And on Sunday, football is on all day. And that's okay because I know it, I expect it, and I'm good with it. Except at some points during the football game, I'm also thinking, oh my gosh, we're watching Big Bang Theory again. I just don't like this. And he knows I don't like it. And so why are we doing it? And so I say something like, we're watching Big Bang again? And his response is, well, now you sound mad at me. And he was right. I was mad at him. But the reason I was mad at him is because I did not correctly assess the situation. Had I thought to myself last night and all day on Sunday, had I thought to myself, okay, this is going to be a football free-for-all. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for myself during this time, it would have been fine. But I didn't. I didn't. And to me, that's kind of the definition of crazy, is knowing what's going to happen and not paying attention to it and doing the same thing all over again. So what I learned from this is that he and I pause in really different ways. And that's not something that's bad. It's not something that we have to fix. It's just something that I need to know. I need to know in order to best take care of myself. Okay? So maybe the question isn't, did I pause or do I pause? But the question is more about, how do I pause? So if we can think about how we pause, we're going to be much more likely to get what we want from the pause, whether that's rejuvenation, whether that's accomplishment, whether that's whatever it might be. But if we understand what we need, then we're much more likely to get it. We're much more likely to help the people living with us understand that that's what we need and to get consideration about that. And we're much more likely to feel like our empty tank has been filled with things that are helpful, healthy, and good for us. So this is really about knowing yourself. How do I pause? I need engagement. It's funny because when we talk about things like Big Bang Theory, it's a very funny show. The jokes are funny over and over again. The characters are extraordinary. And I am engaged with them, but after the fifth time of watching it, it's like I'm not really engaged anymore. But for Paul, when he watches that, it's funny to him. He laughs over and over and over. And that is really satisfying to him. And so how he pauses is connecting into something that's going to make him feel good and laugh. That's part of how he pauses. I need engagement. I need a story that I can get hold of. I need characters that I can attach to, feel like I understand their plight. I need engagement. I can't just sit sort of doing nothing. I get really, my mother used to say, I can't sit still. And she's right. I can't sit still. I need to be engaged in something. I need stimulation. Even if I'm really tired, even if I've worked hard and seen clients all day and been present for them and helped them with their troubles, I still need stimulation. I'm not the type that can just plop myself in front of the TV and watch what's ever going on there and feel okay about it. I just get bored really easily. And so I've always had my things that I've been working on. Used to be, I did a lot of needlework and things like that. I'm not doing that so much anymore. Actually, I bought one a year ago. I still haven't started it, which really speaks more to that somehow that is not making a pause for me anymore. But I know myself. I need things to do. I need things to engage me. So when the kids and grandkids were here, I was engaged nonstop. By the end, I was tired, but so satisfied. It was a pause because it filled me up. Yes, my body was exhausted, but it filled me up. I got my dose of each person in a way that I really could see them and enjoy them and appreciate them. And that just makes me feel so good. I felt close to them. And I was so grateful to have the opportunity. There's nothing like going back to the days where you wake up and there's family in the house with you. It's just wonderful. So I tell you these things about how to create a pause, not because I'm telling you what to do or I'm telling you how to do it. The last thing I want to do is to add something to your to-do list. That's the last thing. That's my gripe against self-help books, is that they tell you just do this, and this, and you'll be good. The problem is that if we could just do this, and this, we already would have done it. There are really good reasons why we don't just do those things. And sometimes we have to think more deeply about why it's hard to, or why we don't, or accepting that we do what we do. So I feel like this pause gave me a chance to accept what kind of pause really fills me. And I never had really done this before. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to think of it like that and to understand myself and to know what I need. Whatever it is that you need, it's okay. There's no wrong need. There might be an unhealthy or unpopular way of trying to get what you need. There may be some behavior changes in that. But when we really get down to what we need, it's something that we need to own and be proud of it, at least internally to ourselves, so that the couch potato can just honestly say, yep, I am a couch potato. At a certain point, I just need to go on the couch and watch TV. And that is great. It's wonderful. Our distress comes when we do that, but we somehow think bad of ourselves for it. because it isn't how we're supposed to act, or it isn't on our list of what should be. So, me telling you about how I learned about my pause is not trying to tell you how you should be. It's only about giving you an opportunity to wonder about how you pause, about what you need to fill your tank. This is about thinking of what you like to do, honoring it, and making regular space for it in your life. Those are the best pauses and the most replenishing ones. And I hope you have many of those in 2023. Actually, if you're going to make a New Year's resolution, I'd much rather that you make a resolution to give yourself what it is you truly want rather than what it is you think you should do. Happy New Year. Pause is over. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to the What Drives You podcast. Please feel free to leave a review on your podcast platform if you enjoyed it. As always, my book is available for sale on Amazon, and new podcast episodes will be published starting in a week or two. I can't remember exactly, but I look forward to you hearing them and me hearing from you. Thank you.